What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another FM22 video. Today we're going to be talking all about the FM Streamer Showdown. Now this is the first showdown of the FM22 game cycle, and there's already been a huge amount of drama so far. Not only have all 8 competitors drafted their squads, the wheel then came out and they were switched over for everybody except from Zealand. Now, you have to remember, this is all about content. It is all about the entertainment value. Yes, okay, I know the competitors and the drafters want to win. If I were drafting in this and had my squad switched on me, I'd be frustrated as well. But obviously, from the content perspective, the amount of reactions that were in the community and from the drafters themselves, I'm just going to chuck up a picture now. They're absolutely priceless. These guys looked absolutely livid at the time. But what we're going to do today is we are going to go through, review some of the squads in alphabetical order. Who has now got what managers have decent players at their disposal, some little notes that I've made on each little team, and obviously we will be making our prediction as to who we think will be winning the Streamer Showdown come Sunday. But without any further ado, let's get into the first squad. So guys, the first squad is Curty's, which has been drafted by SweetLeftFoot. As we said, the squads have been swapped over thanks to the power of the wheel. Curty's squad is up on your screens now, and there are some notes, some things that I do like about Curty's team that he's now got. I do like Mendy in goal, the Chelsea goalkeeper. I think he is a decent level goalkeeper. Whilst he's not necessarily the Alisson or the Edison in the Premier League, I think he is that next tier down of very, very reliable goalkeepers. So I think that is a great pickup. Obviously Pope as well as a backup option is very, very good. I think he has a decent number of centre backs. I also think he has the flexibility of being able to play at a 3 centre back tactic if he wants. Obviously Matip, Aya, Cody are like centre backs as a standard, but obviously they do have the option of dropping Fabinho back and playing centre back as well if required. I also love the versatility of Fabinho and Maitland-Niles. The fact that they can play in a number of positions is really, really helpful in the draft, especially in the league format, which will be on the Saturday, which determines who you face in the knockouts the following day. And also, I will say, the one thing that I do have, the issue that I do have with this team is the lack of a clear goal threat. Obviously, there is Cavani, there is Richarlison, and there is Moise Kean in this team, but I'm a stickler for the hidden attributes. And one of the main hidden attributes that I look for when I'm drafting is consistency. Now, Cavani, Richarlison, and Moise Kean, I've just had a little look, all have 13 consistency in game, which is okay. Remember, these attributes are scored from 0 all the way up to 20, so 13 is kind of a little bit above average, but that's not high enough for me. Personally, I look for players who I know I can count on week in, week out, every game week, regardless of their ability level. So if I would take a player who's got a 10 less on current ability, but has 4 more in terms of consistency, that to me is a better striker. So I think Curty may struggle. He may not. These players may catch fire. You just don't know. Second up, we are talking about Dave Azzopardi, the Wolves man who, in my opinion, caught a little slice of luck getting Virgil van Dijk, who of course was the #1 pick. This squad was drafted by Mckins, and yeah, Virgil van Dijk for me, I always pick from the back first if I can. So VVD being there is a very elite pickup for him. Definitely better than a lot of the centre backs that he was drafting. I know he did pick up Ruben Diaz, but Virgil van Dijk, elite tier player. I will also say there is a lot of flexibility here to play a 3 centre-back formation, which I believe Mckins was trying to do. Obviously, you've got Van Dijk, Maguire, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Lindelof, who can all sort of play centre-back, but also can move out a little bit. Azpilicueta and Lindelof can play right-back as well if required in a 4. So I think that flexibility at the back is very, very good. I will say, James Ward-Prowse, I think this is going to be a very, very big tick in the box for Dave Azzopardi. I think the fact that he can deliver such a deadly set piece with players like Maguire and Virgil van Dijk trying to throw their head at it, I think there are going to be a decent number of goals coming from this team from set pieces. And again, we're talking strikers. Callum Wilson's there. We've seen Callum Wilson deliver in the showdown before, but for me, he's the only natural option at striker. I know there will be people there saying Martial is a striker, but for me, he's not. I still class him as an inside forward on the left. So there's some options there in terms of Sterling, Jota, Martial, and Pulisic. I think there's some really good options there. Sancho as well, I've just clocked. I don't know if Callum Wilson goes down, how Dave's team will actually score a lot of their goals. Be interesting to see. Moving on to number 3, and we have Lullujo. His squad was drafted by WorkTheSpace, and in my opinion, this is the best draft squad in the entire competition. So very, very well done to WorkTheSpace, who unfortunately does not get his own team. There's a few things I like in here. Alisson as a goalkeeper, as I mentioned earlier, in that sort of elite tier, very, very good level goalkeeper. I will give a shout out to Kurt Zouma, who I think is a very, very deadly from set pieces. In the FM playoffs, in some of my own drafting experience, a guy, Stick Piano, had Kurt Zouma, who scored 2 against me in our game that we played from set pieces. So I know how much of a threat Kurt Zouma can be. Personally, I don't rate Trent Alexander-Arnold in the game, in draft mode. I just don't think he's consistent enough. Sometimes he can blow hot, sometimes he can blow very, very cold. Despite potentially being the best or second best right back in the league between him and Cancelo for me in real world football, not in draft. It's going to be interesting to see how Trent does for Kev. Personally, as well, I think he's slightly weaker on the left-hand side in terms of his defence. Davis and Timakas, I don't know how you say the Greek dude for Liverpool's name. They're okay. They're sort of B-level left backs, if you ask me. There's no real shining light at left back for Kev, but I think they are very, very much passable. You can't have elite level players in every position. I understand that. And now we're going to look at the other end of the field. I think Salah's going to be a threat. I think Rashford has the ability to be a threat as well. He's a very big game player. But the player up top for Kev I like the most is Ivan Toney. Whilst Ivan Toney doesn't have what I would say is elite level current ability, I think it's around the 150 mark, which is a solid centre forward, but not the sort of upper echelons of players. He does have 17 consistency as a hidden attribute, so I would very much expect Ivan Toney to be in and around it in terms of the top goal scorers in the competition. Moving on to the defending champion, we have Mckins, whose squad was drafted by TomFM. He has great fullback options, if you ask me. Cancelo and Robertson are probably positionally the best 2 that he could have asked for. I like Laporte as a centre-back, but other than that, I don't think he's got one of those centre-backs that he's looking for. Ben White, Justin, Tomiyasu, for me, aren't that level. And Mckins did say, I believe, on the night that he was looking to play a 3 centre-back formation. Not with this team, you're not, unfortunately for him. I also think that Saint-Maximin up top can be a real difference maker, but has a slightly higher injury proneness of 12. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But also, he has Lukaku up top, which, in my opinion, in the world draft pool, Lukaku is one of the best centre forwards that you can get, let alone in a Premier League only draft pool. So I think Mckins has lucked out up front, but definitely hasn't got what he was looking for at the other end of the field. It's second yellow card up now, and his squad was drafted by Lullujo. And some of my notes on him are the fact that he has very good goalkeeper picks. I'm enjoying those, both Ederson and Pickford. He does have relentless fullback options, which I would call just runners. Castagne and Cucurella, I love them both. I think they're very, very good. They will be able to get up and down the field quite constantly, so will be able to be used as good attacking options. I quite like I don't like his B tier, what I would call B tier centre back options. Joe Gomez, Thiago Silva, Nathan Ake, Ben Godfrey. I'd say they're sort of like B tier. Whether or not he's going to play Kyle Walker at centre back, that remains to be seen. I think they're B tier, and for me, I don't know why they seem a little bit brittle. I've looked at their injury proneness, and it's not anything brilliant, but it's not awful either. So it'd be interesting to see how some of those guys handle the repeated games on the Saturday to see if he can get through without as many injuries. Again, he's got a lot of runners in central midfield. He's got Kante, he's got Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's got Allen from Everton. I think they're really good runners. Not necessarily the most creative players, but that's why he has Jack Grealish, Maddison, to try and unlock the opposition teams, whilst the other guys are doing a lot of the dirty work. Again, I know it seems like there's no real wingers for me. It's more inside forwards. I know Gabriel Jesus has played on that right-hand side for Man City, and I know Timo Werner can play there on the left-hand side as an inside forward. I've used Werner a lot. Now, I know he caught some heat in the Lowdown show from Dr. Benji, and I understand why. His attributes aren't really all there, but I've used Werner. I know what he can do. He won me the FM playoffs, so I quite like Timo Werner. Be interesting to see how he does for second yellow card. On to SweetLeftFoot, whose squad was drafted by Dave Azzopardi, and I'm sorry, Mike, I think you've got the worst squad. I just don't know. I know Dave was drafting with a relatively like Wolves / Portuguese sort of vibe going on, but ultimately I think Mike, you've got the short straw here. Diaz is an elite level centre back. I mentioned it earlier whilst talking about Virgil van Dijk. I think Ruben Diaz is the second best centre back in this draft pool. I like Tyrone Mings. I think he's a little bit of a threat on set pieces as well, but that's kind of it. Midfield trio of Ruben Neves, Paul Pogba and Kevin De Bruyne will be very, very good. I think that can create a lot. I think that will cause problems for teams. It's very, very creative, not a lot of running in there. Is he gonna kind of come unstuck with the lack of a defensive midfielder potentially? I know Ruben Neves plays a little bit deeper, but definitely as a deep lying playmaker. I will also say no real out-and-out wingers again, apart from Armand Traore. It's that Wolves connection, isn't it? I don't value Ziyech as a winger. I don't like Aubameyang out there on the left-hand side either as an inside forward. It's just going to be interesting. I just really struggle to see where the goals are going to come from. So, Mike, good luck, mate. That's all I can say. On to TomFM, whose squad was drafted by SecondYellowCard. Now, the first thing that stood out to me is the fact that he only has one goalkeeper. He's only got Dean Henderson, and that scares me, especially in a competition when you've got as many games as you will do on the Saturday. I like Willy Bolly and Rudiger. I think they're very deadly on set pieces, corners, free kicks, etc. I like Bernardo Silva as well as a player. I think he's got a lot of flexibility, can be a magician at times, can really unlock a team. He will be one to watch. For me, though, I don't rate the forwards as much as I have done on some of the other teams. Heung-min Son, I'm very doubtful of. My personal assistant manager, GYRFM, raves about him and won him the top manager competition the other week. But for me, not as big of a fan of Heung-min Son, but on the other hand, he does have Jamie Vardy, who for me always delivers. Big game player, always has the goals in him. It's just a matter of how many can he score. Two more people to talk about as we hit WorkTheSpace. His squad was drafted by Curty, and again, it's just the one goalkeeper. It makes me nervous. He's got Aaron Ramsdale as his only goalkeeping option. I like Ramsdale. In game, maybe in 5 years' time. Probably not right now. He does have Reece James, who is my right back of choice, when drafting in terms of a Premier League right back. I love Reece James. He's got 16 consistency, can get up and down the field, can deliver a good cross, can take a good corner. Really, really like Reece James. For me, I think he's slightly lacking in terms of height at centre-back. Soyuncu, John Stones and Konate, for me, they're shorter ball playing. I know Stones is over like 6'2", but for me they just feel a bit short compared to some of the other physical giants that we've had and in some of the other teams. I just feel like they're a little bit small and he may come undone on set pieces, which is very interesting that Curty drafted this, because I would have thought he would have drafted with that sort of thing in mind. Zinchenko for me is going to be his key utility man. You will see him play a lot of positions on the Saturday. I don't think he's a starting option for Jack, but I think the option that he can play in like every position on the field apart from in goal is very, very useful, and you will definitely see him get some game time on the Saturday. Whether or not if Jack progresses onto the Sunday, you will have to wait and see, but if he does, I don't see Zinchenko getting an awful lot of game time. And for me, it's very central player heavy. Koch, Gundogan, Kovacic, McTominay, Lingard, they're all very central. Ferran Torres, I know he can play on the wing, but I see him more as a central player. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Bobby Firmino, Cristiano Ronaldo and Chris Wood are all like central players. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't a narrow 4-2-2 from WorkTheSpace. Now we move on to Zealand, the only man who got his own squad back, which I think is a blessing and a curse. Whilst it is great, he's got the exact team that he wanted, the pressure's on. He is the only one who doesn't have the excuse of, oh, well, so-and-so drafted a really bad squad for me. So the pressure is definitely all on Zealand right now. I like both of his goalkeepers, actually, Lloris and Leno. In the main game, probably not so much moving forward. But as things stand right now, this is a draft. It doesn't really matter how old people are. It's kind of an interesting one. I love Rafael Varane on corners. During the beta, he was electric for me in my Manchester United save. And I know they've patched the near post corner, but Varane is definitely still a problem there. I like the link up between him and Luke Shaw as well. I think that's going to be a very, very good one. He's got workers in that what we call engine room in central midfield. He's got Ndidi, he's got Rice, he's got Henderson. They're going to do a lot of the grunt work for his team and hopefully allow the creative players that he does have to sort of break things down and break the opposition down and create those chances. I will say though, with Z's team, I'm a little bit intrigued. He's got a lot of like wonder kids, dare I say it, Lamptey, Saka, Hudson-Odoi, Gallagher, and Greenwood. They're sort of like wonder kid talents that in the main game in like 2 or 3 seasons are elite level talents, but age doesn't really matter here. So it's going to be interesting to see what these sort of younger dynamic wonder kids can do for Zealand. But for me, it all hinges on, can he get the best out of Harry Kane? Obviously, we don't know what systems he's looking at running, but it all hinges for me, can he get Harry Kane scoring goals? If he can get Kane scoring, I think Zealand will go very far in this competition. So for me, I think you will see a Zealand versus Lullujo final. I think Zealand has the advantage of knowing his team. This is a squad he drafted with obviously a tactic in mind, and he has that all to himself. I think you will see Lullujo make it all the way there because of the depth of his squad. I'm sorry, WorkTheSpace. In my opinion, you drafted the best, but ultimately you didn't end up with your own squad, which is absolutely devastating for you. So that's my final, Zealand versus Lullujo, and I see Lullujo coming out on top again to become Kevy 7 times. Obviously, only time will tell in this competition if my predictions are correct, and you can catch the guys playing the draft on Saturday. The league format is on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, you have the knockout stages. Obviously, there's 9 of them in the draft. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets that eliminated spot and who wins that playoff going into the final knockout stages. But please do go and check out the Streamer Showdown. I will leave all the links in the description. And it's going to be interesting to see if my prediction of Kev winning is accurate. At the time this video goes out, I'll be drafting live this evening for Wasted Possession season number 6. I don't know the stipulation at the time of recording. It could be anything. So I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to go. Check out the link in the description as well for the live for that Wasted Possession draft if you are into your draft mode. But that's where I'm going to leave things for today, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, a recap of the squads for the Streamer Showdown, don't forget to drop a like on it down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are picking up the content for the first time, and let's see what happens. Will it be Kev lifting the first Streamer Showdown trophy of FM22? Let's find out.